off just by getting you to introduce like who you are, your role in Misery Kids, that kind of thing?
Sure. So, hey, I'm Nick. I am the singer of Misery Kids. We are based down in, well, kind of in two different locations, really. Originally, we're more from the south. Um, so we've got a couple of guys from like Basingstoke, Guildford area. Our bassist is down in West Supermare, and I am in Nottingham.
So what would you say are some of the main ingredients that make up Misery Kids' sound and vibe?
Okay, we are we're massively into our 80s pop sound. So you can probably hear a lot of like the like darting like poppy synths come into play with our sound. Um, but we've also all grown up on like pop punk bands and like heavier stuff as well. Um, like previous projects we've all played in like heavier bands, like actual full band. So there's like taking inspiration from like the old like Drive Through Records bands. You've got like the Starting Line and Cartel and things like that. But then also we're super into our pop music as well. Like I grew up as a kid listening to like Backstreet Boys and Five, so I've got like I'm taking inspiration from things like super like 90s boy band pop to the 80s like fun synth sound, and then you've got the rocky kind of sound in there as well. And I think we've kind of made some sort of amalgamation of all of those different sounds and made this kind of commercial pop rock sound that we just love playing. It's music we've sort of created for ourselves. It's something that we want to hear and hope people can get on board with that.
Yeah. How did you guys all like meet and come together to form Misery Kids?
So Misery Kids came about after a previous band of mine broke up, and Alex, he was also in a band at the same time. We'd kind of played multiple different bills and shows and stuff at different times. Um, we were both living in Bristol at the time. We kind of always said to each other, even when we were in like previous bands, oh, wouldn't it have been cool if we played in a band together? It's like, I feel like sounds a bit strange, but imagine being in a relationship, sort of like, but you've always like been like, oh, I really like this person, maybe in another life, but like we shouldn't talk about that. But
Yeah.
it's that kind of feeling of being like, oh, we get on really, really well, but like, yeah, maybe another life, and that those two bands, I guess you can call like bands of relationships, families, ended up breaking up, and it was quite like, what, let's go and do this. Like it makes sense for us to write music together. We always have a very similar style, I think, whether it's writing and the bands that we're into. And a lot of our friends, when we did start Misery Kids, were like, this makes sense. Like, you guys should be playing music together. Like, it kind of has always been like when we were on different tours and stuff, we were always hanging out. We were like best mates. So it's nice to be able to do that. And we pulled in some other members from previous projects and bands that we've been working with. And yeah, the formation's just kind of gone from there.
Yeah. And where did the band name come from?
So Misery Kids came from, it was actually a title that I had for a previous band that it never actually got released. Um, that said, band were looking at like rebranding and changing names, and I wrote a track called Misery Kids. Like there's actually a song called that, and like the hook is like it's like Misery Kids and in the like we are Misery Kids, and I just really thought that was a cool name. It kind of suits the kind of alternative style in there, but also feels kind of fun. Um, and I don't know, it gives you like kind of like 80s kind of, like the Mystery Kids, like it's kind of
Yeah.
gave kind of vibe. And like we never used that track. That said project never went anywhere from there. And I was like, it was kind of always in my back pocket, that name. And I don't know. I love it. I think it really suits us as a band. We've had a few bands either they really like the name. Have actually asked to buy the band name off us, which
No
is so.
way.
They've asked. I can't name them, but we have had bands who have been like, "Hey, we really like your name. Like, can we use it for like an album? Like, we'll buy it off you." I was like, "No, it's ours. Stay
That's
away."
so funny.
Yeah.
So what are some like standout moments you've had with the band so far?
Um, in terms of shows and again, maybe like pinch me moments.
Mhm.
Um, we've been really fortunate to go on some amazing tours, especially in the last kind of 2 or 3 years of this band. We went out with a US band called the Somerset, um, and we had such an amazing tour with them. I remember we played the main room at the O2 Islington Academy, and that was definitely one of those moments where it was like, holy shit, like
Yeah.
this is a big room, and this is a big opportunity, and you kind of like, you know, you're like looking around the curtains, you're seeing like a full packed out crowd, and even just getting to the venue and you're like having to sign in and you're having to like, I don't know, it was just like, wow, like this is a lot bigger than us sort of playing like the dingy DIY basement venues that we're all used to growing up
Mhm.
playing. So I think just being on tour with like your heroes as well. Like we listened to those guys growing up, and it's the same with Emarosa, another massive like influence of us. Um, we got to do our first like European tour with them, which was really cool. Getting to actually go and travel outside the UK and play
Yeah.
your music and you know see people, you know, singing along was just wild. You know, you don't really. I feel like you never really know how far your music is traveling, especially with online streaming.
Mhm.
Are these people actually just listening to the song and then never playing you again, or are they actually connecting with it and coming to the
Mhm.
shows? I think when you're out there in another country and you're seeing people, you know, getting behind it, you're like, wow, this is, you know, amazing moment. So yeah, I think the touring side of things are a really big part of us. And I think that's our favorite, especially me anyway. That's my favorite part of being in a band is getting to tour and meet people and play shows.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like that must be the most like fun part as well in a way.
Yeah, I think it's kind of it's the payoff. It's the payoff
Mhm.
when spent hours and hours in rehearsal studios, or whether it's just like you with your guitar and trying to figure out the next line to a track, and the amount of, I think the amount of time and effort you put into like making and creating the product,
Yeah.
you then to go and take it out on tour, and then I feel like that's when you get to really enjoy it.
Mhm.
um you know, we still enjoy going into a studio and recording, and writing is like cathartic, is a great process too, right? It feels nice to be able to lay those thoughts down. But again, personally, I think I love the adrenaline of the live aspect, and that is what made me want to start doing a band in the very first place. What makes me still want to do a band now is the live side of things. I
Yeah.
don't think you.
Yeah. So you guys have recently started working with Dynamic Talent. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, that is really recent actually. We
Mhm.
were out on the road in December with a band called Le Broc, another like synth wave kind of rock band. Um, and we actually had a final show tagged onto the end of that tour. So we didn't have London on that tour, and we got invited by another band called Call Me More to come and just join them in London on their tour, which was awesome because we were like, oh, we haven't got London on this tour, what a shame. But then this opportunity came about, and it tagged on exactly at the end of that tour of the next show. So we're like, okay, we've got to do this. Um, and yeah, we invited a few friends, we invited a few agents, but Gemma, who's now our agent, is someone I've known before. Is more like really a friend capacity. We um, been to shows together. She's worked with other bands that I've worked with as well, because alongside doing Misery Kids, like I do some tour management for bands, and I work in the industry too. Um, and it was really just very organic the way it worked out. I dropped Gemma a text that day, just being like, "Hey, we're in London tonight. Would you like to come down?" She's like, "Oh, I'm actually out right now with a promoter. We are in London in town. Like, yeah, we'll pop down to the show." And it wasn't. It was like one of those things where I think a lot of bands, when they're trying to I don't know, maybe like get industry behind them and stuff, they put quite a lot of pressure on it, and it's like, oh, this is an industry show, we have these people coming down. But with Dynamic and Gemma, it's just like, oh, it's our friend coming down to the show. We didn't actually really expect anything from it either. It wasn't ever in that mindset. It was like, hey, come down, like it would be cool. We're at the end of talk, we're knackered, we want to see some friends. And anyway, she was with a really cool promoter, a friend of ours called Dan. And he said to her, supposedly within the third song, was like, oh, are you going to sign them then? And we were like, wow, that's absolutely crazy. We'd never thought that it was going to come from that. So yeah, after the show, we got chatting, we spoke more. I stayed in London for an extra night. We went and watched the band Camino the following
Nice.
day. Happened to have an extra. Our tour manager managed to get us an extra like free pass for the show. So I was like, "Hey, come down, Jebba." We ended up having dinner, had maybe 3 or 4 too many beers, and it ended up all happening that night. So yeah, really exciting. It's nice to work with a friend as well, as opposed to someone who's come down to the show just said, "Oh yeah, I like the band, I want to take it on." And you don't really feel
Mhm.
like, oh well, maybe something will come from this. Whereas I think with having a friend being back in the band and being behind it, that their heart's in the right place, their
Yeah.
intentions are in the right place, and we're kind of quite aligned with it, and we can speak very openly. So yeah, really excited to be working with Dynamic. They're obviously a very big agency, huge out in the States as well, and they're starting to, I think, get more agents over the UK and Europe side. So fingers crossed it'll be a busy time ahead.
Yeah. So you touched upon the shows you had in December there. How were they? What was that tour like?
It was really fun. As I mentioned before, like we tour with bands more like in the kind of pop punk, pop rock scene, and always being the way, um, because I think our music can quite happily be accessible for more American pop rock sounds. But this was like a UK synthwave tour, which is something we've really wanted to do, but we've noticed there's not, maybe I've missed it. I don't know, but like, there's not a huge scene for it here. Isn't there's not that many bands doing that like real like retro
Yeah.
'80s synth stuff. Um, but LeBrock have been doing it for years. I don't know if you've heard of the band or not, but they're sort of like in my opinion like pioneers of synthwave in the UK. Really, like they're the ones who took it early and have done it, and they've got an amazing fan base. Um, so we did, it was, I'm not sure how long the whole tour was, but we did like half of the tour, like or something like that. And the shows were so cool. They were really fun. It was a different kind of crowd to what we used to playing. It wasn't so much like the teeny boppers, like I don't know, let's call it like the all time low crowd,
Mhm.
like the young crowd. Um, it was more of I know, like just a lot of dudes in the 30s, 40s, to be honest, who were just like absolutely loving it. And they were down to have a good chat afterwards. They wanted to talk to us about all these 80s bands that they like grew up with as well. And it was really fun. It was just a different experience. You know, there weren't people like going crazy in the crowd, but they were just all just like, I felt like they were just standing there nodding, going, yeah, like I get this, like I get
Yeah.
what they're going. But we had some really nice chats, and we made some really good friends on that tour as well. Not just LeBrock, but with the fan base as well. There's definitely a community out there in the synthwave world, and I think it's made us kind of like, it's opened our eyes to it for sure, and made us kind of think with sort of the direction of things. Like, there is a little bit of a gap there that maybe not being hit, and maybe we should look at that.
Yeah.
Um, but in general, lovely, love the tour. We don't tend to tour in December. It's a bit of a weird month, but people came out to the shows. They had a great time. Yeah, yeah, couldn't have asked for a better way to end the year, to be honest.
Perfect. Right. Here's a bit of kind of a big question. Say
God.
you were building a tour and you had an unlimited budget, what would you do with it?
Oh, okay. So I've got a tour, unlimited budget. It would 100% be a world tour
Mhm.
because let's be honest, it's unlimited, right? So we would hit everywhere. We would hit all over UK, all over Europe, all over North America. It would be hitting Japan, go to Australia.
Yeah.
It would be a year. The tour would be massive. Um, I mean, we could go on for probably days about the lineup, but I'll just hit a few bands, a few like in places that
Mhm.
obviously we'd have to be playing it because this is probably would be the best tour ever existed. We'd
Yeah.
ever had a chance to do. So we would have to play it. Some bands that we'd love to tour with. We'd want to take our friends out first and foremost. We would take some of the bands that who've given us opportunities, the chance to go and tour everywhere, like the Somerset and Emarosa, the Dangerous Summer, um, some of our friends. But then I'd be like, hey, but we'd also like to play with the 1975. We'd bring Panic at the Disco back because why not? We'd have the band Camino. Um, I don't know, maybe throw in some metal bands just for the fun of it, just whack in some
Oh,
Metallica.
yeah.
Yeah, it would be like a diverse. It'd be like imagine a mix of like Slam Dunk and Download. That's the
Mm,
tour. It'd be like Slam Dunk, Download, some of like the classic bands that we bring out, the Maidens, but also like the newcomers as well. 10 bands, 20 bands a night, huge festival. Festival
yeah.
vibes all over.
Oh,
I
that
think
would
that
be
would be
so
it.
fun.
I think it'd be it. It'd be like Warp Tour of the World. World
Yeah.
Warp
More, there you go.
Warp Tour worldwide.
Got it.
That's it.
That's
Warp
it.
Tour worldwide. That would be the plan. We would all probably have to then just go into hiding for like many years to recoup from what that would be. Maybe you'd have some like little like week holidays in between it as well. Like all the bands
Hmm.
get to go on beat. Because if we were doing that, yeah. I mean, we could go. I could talk to you all day about this. I mean, I could probably get a whole spreadsheet out and give you a whole plan.
The whole like board with like the lines and all like this goes here and this goes
That's
here.
it. That's it.
Yeah.
Like a world map, how everyone's getting there. Wow. I think the world would kind of have to stop for it.
Probably, probably. So another one I have for you is if you were to pick an artist to cover one of your songs, what song would you pick and what artist?
Ooh, I would say we, Alex and I particularly love a band called Laney, and I think Laney would do an incredible rendition of Turn Off the Lights. Um, it's a slightly like a slower pace track, um, but I can totally see Laney doing that song. It was strange when we first started writing like the verse and putting it together. I was like, oh, this is kind of Laney-esque. Huge fans of the band. We're not. I don't think we sound anything really like them at all, but like we definitely take some inspiration of the way the vocals can line up in place and things. I think they would just like crush that song, and then we'd probably never want to play it again.
It's their song now.
Yeah, they can have that one. They can have that. If they want to take that song and do it, they can do. I think they would just do an amazing version of it.
Mhm.
Sometimes I hear, oh wow, if Laney were to do that song, they would really, yeah, give that credit.
And then as well, if you were to pick one of your songs to show someone that had never heard of you guys before, what song do you think would sum you guys up best?
um, Tough one because I think stylistically some of the songs are variable in places.
Mhm.
We have like a slightly, I guess, like a slightly heavier edge in certain places. And I say heavy very loosely, like fast. We're essentially an old pop band, but
Mhm.
there's a bit more guitars and stuff in places. And other songs are very like synth bass driven. Um, so I guess it's trying to find a compromise of kind of something in between that. So I would go with Burning Up is probably the one where we've got a nice mix of very like poppy sounding synth basses, um, and then like the chorus is still like kind of got like a tinge of like pop punk in there with the melody shapes, and it's still got some like crunchy guitars in places. So yeah, I would go with Burning Up. That would be the track I would send to someone and say, hey, like listen to my band. Like this is probably our best song as well. So
Yeah. Fair enough. And as we are in 2026 now, do you guys have any plans that you can share with me for the year?
yeah, I guess there's some plans that I can reveal. Like we're looking to be writing a lot of new music this year. Um obviously touring. I actually have no idea myself right now in terms of touring, so I can't share any of that. I imagine there will be things coming through relatively soon, but I guess with the agency, it's like things will just pop in here and there, and it's like, can we do it? Can we not? So
Yeah.
right now, TBC. But we are going to be writing for an EP this year, which is exciting because we've done this band for a while, but we've always just kind of dropped singles as and when, kind of done some tours around it. I haven't put out like a full body of music, like an EP or an album. Um, and we're at this in this place now. We're like, okay, like let's do that. Let's put out whether it's an EP, an album, something bigger that we can kind of promote and a little bit more longevity around, as opposed to just dropping a single. And then how it works today is it's just like a few weeks later, people forget about that. It's like, what's next? What's next?
Yeah.
So yeah, the main goal of this year is writing an EP, and I would love to say potentially like a headline tour at the end of this year. Um, Maybe gets pushed into next year, but we'll see how it goes. Depends how quickly we can write the record. But writing new music and getting new music ready is the main plan for this year.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, I'll just wrap this up here. Is there anything else you would like to say before we go?
Um, I guess just a thank you to those who have been supporting the band so far. We're growing a really cool little community here. Get onto our Instagram, Misery Kids Music. There's links to all sorts there on our link tree. We have got like a Discord as well for our fan base, and that's really cool. Like, so nice seeing everyone connecting on there. So if people want to kind of come say hi and connect with us that way, get onto Instagram, get onto the Discord, and yeah, join the party.